So you may or may not be aware, but there are over 40 different native iOS apps that come pre-built into your iPhone whenever you get one, and we have the usual culprits like the Notes application, Calendar, iMessage, ones that we've grown to love. But as I mentioned, there are over 40 of these iOS native apps, and a lot of them are extremely helpful but go under the radar, and you might not even know about them. So in this video, I want to highlight 3 different applications that I use pretty much on a daily basis that a lot of people just aren't really aware of. Let's get into it. So let's get right into this video, everybody, and the first thing you're going to notice here is that I am using a 16 Pro Max, but most iPhones, most modern iPhones will be able to handle all the different applications I'm going to mention. And the first application I want to talk about is going to be the Measure application, because I use this very, very frequently, at least once a week. And before we continue, I am aware that there's 160 missed calls. That's just what it is. Argue about it in the comments below. But let's open up the Measure application, and there's a bunch of stuff here that we can get into. I know that the Measure application has been around for a little while now, but not a lot of people know just how much can be done with the Measure application itself. So the first one is going to be the actual measure point. So this is going to mimic a ruler or anything that's going to be able to measure distance. And I would definitely recommend taking this with a grain of salt. Of course, if you have a LiDAR scanner iPhone, it's going to be much more accurate than an iPhone that does not have a LiDAR scanner, but it is relatively accurate. I would just, if you need something that's absolutely precise and exact, I would then measure with something else after the fact. But it is very easy. All you do is you tap on here, move it around, and then you can see that it is measuring whatever I measured, and it's about 4.5 inches. And what I like about it is that it's spatially aware, very similar to the Vision Pro. So again, you can see that I moved it, and when I move it again, it's staying where it's supposed to be staying, and it's being able to be dragged through it, and it even kind of ticks, and you get some haptic feedback on every little notch of that ruler as long as you're on it right there. And you can even add another one if you want to. So if I tap on here, measure another one here, you can see that that one is also 4.5 inches. Grab this, move it this way, and you can see that it does replace what it was there before, but again, it is fully spatially aware, which I think is very cool. And now you can see that we have a little arrow here to interact with it. We can tap on there and get a little extra information. For example, you can see that it's 4 inches, but then it also gives it to you in 11 centimeters. You can copy it as well, and then move this up to get even more measurements. So distance away is about 13 inches, which is about 1 foot and 1 inch, and also 33 centimeters. You also get the angle of the measurement, so a bunch of information that goes overlooked, in my opinion, that not a lot of people are aware can be done. And then you have up here, which is going to be the list of measurements. So as you guys can see, yes, it removed the physical measurements away from what I was doing, from the actual visibility on here, but you do get a running list of all the measurements that you have right here. You can copy them all, clear them all, you can even tap into them individually. You can get all the information that we were talking about before. We'll X out of there, and then of course you can clear them all, and you also have the clear button up there if you do want to clear something out that's actually physically on there. Secondly, you also have the ability to, again, let's mark something down here, let's measure it this way this time. So you can actually take a screenshot picture and it'll save with the measurement right here. So you can see that it's with the measurement, and then you can annotate it after the fact or send it to whoever needs to actually know what's going on with the measuring application. So that's everything that you can do with the Measure app, but what I like about this is that there's also a level built into here, which is something that I use actually even more frequently. Very self-explanatory. It's going to use the accelerometer and the gyroscope in here to make sure that you have a good measurement and make sure that you're at 0 depending on what's going on. So of course you have your horizontal, your vertical, but you also have your z-axis measurement. So if you do lift it top down, you do get a measurement that adds a little circle, and you can see that it's happening in real time, and when the circles collide, it does go green. So that does allow you to happen. And then what's also nice is that, let's say you have an angle that's measured this way, and this is the 0 angle that you want to account for. You just hold it down, and then it resets it and makes that your 0 plane. So if there's something that you need to measure that needs to be diagonal of this, is going to be good to go. And then to reset it, you just tap on the screen and you're good to go. So I use this a lot for framing. I used this the other day to hang up a new TV. So this is my default leveler, even though I do have an actual level tool, but this is what I use 99.9% of the time. So definitely use the Measure app if you are building something or trying to hang something up or trying to measure something at the end of the day. So now before we continue on to the next one, I do want to recommend maybe checking out the channel membership to get awesome wallpapers like this one. This is our brand new wallpaper pack that did come out for February. If you are a channel member, you get access to all the wallpapers both for the iPhone, iPad, and Mac, and you get a running list. So if you subscribe today, you would get all the monthly wallpapers dating back about 14 months now at this point, and there is probably over 100 wallpapers to choose from, which I absolutely love, so definitely check that out. And if you can't become a channel member for some reason, subscribing to the channel will be the next best thing. Big shout out to you guys for watching our videos. But the next one I want to get into is going to be the journal application. So the journal application was actually announced last year with iOS 17, and it was very bare bones back then, right? Back then, it was very simple, there wasn't a lot to it, and even now with iOS 18, it got a few additional updates, but I wanted to give you guys a rundown of the journal application because I do think it's something that more and more people should adopt and more people should get into. So this is going to be your actual feed or your dashboard. As you can see, there isn't too many options, if at all. There's only the plus option to add more. But this is going to be a running list of all the things that you've done or all the different things that you're kind of taking into account. And it's going to be in either chronological order or in the order that you determine, which we'll touch on in a little bit. But you get some statistics over here. So entries this year 0, 489 words written, 14 days journaled, and you can continue to go through here. And then you can actually search for specific ones. So you can search based on photos, videos, podcasts, activities, and of course keywords that are text only. And you can filter based on that. You also have the 3 dots up here, your ellipses, which allows you to sort based on the moment date. You can also sort by entry date because there are some ones that you can backdate if you do want to. And then you have some other options here. So you have your insights, which is my favorite addition to the new version of the journals application, which gives you a current streak. So it almost gamifies the whole journaling experience because again, this is for mental health. This helps people out at the end of the day to kind of decompress a little bit, write down what your thoughts were, whether it was good, bad, indifferent, just something to take into account what you've been doing. You have your total entries, you have the amount of places that you visited. So the restaurants is number 1 because that's the most things that I have visited, of course, and then your total words written as well. And you can even go through here and tap on from a calendar basis what you've been doing. You also have your notifications, so you do have the ability to change your notification settings, so to keep your streak, journaling schedule. So if you turn this on, you can even set reminders to remind you to actually journal at a certain time. So maybe every Saturday, Tuesday, Thursday at 8 p.m., you want it to remind you to journal a little bit. You also have health access. Now this health access is more so for the mindfulness piece. It's not really for the calories burned and things like that. It just allows you to integrate or at least sync across. If you do use the mindfulness section of the activities or the fitness application, that'll then be taken into account through the journals application. Then of course you can also lock the journal and finally you can print it. So overall, the journal app is great if you are somebody that does like to journal because it's very simple, it is bare bones, but it has everything you would need to, from being able to organize all your different thoughts to journaling whatever you need to. It integrates across different applications. So you can see here that it's taken in a video, it's taken in location, it's taking in some photos. We can press this little plus sign too. If I was listening to a song from Spotify or Apple Music, it would include it on here as well. So I do like how it kind of integrates across everything, making it very easy for you. And then of course you have the plus button here to add new entries, and then it also suggests some entries for you based on the images, the photos, the traveling that you've done, the applications that you used, and it'll show up right here. Now here's some of those suggestions that did come up. For instance, we have some of these: Sunday afternoon, we have eating out around Mexican, which is a restaurant I went to, even asks you some reflection questions, and you can do them all based on that. But now let's move on to the last app. And now the last application has to be the Translate app. Now I know that the Translate app is very self-explanatory, but not a lot of people know how robust and how much optionality and functions there are in this application. So again, first and foremost, you have the Translate section, very self-explanatory. You can either write something out. So let's say I want to go from English to Spanish and I say, hi, how are you? It'll then list it out for you, and you do have some options here. First and foremost, you have the option to full screen it. You can favorite it, you can add it to your dictionary, or you can copy it as well. So if these are common things that you do, you can kind of add it to your dictionary right here in order to really understand what's going on, but then also see what each one of these words break down to in terms of kind of teaching yourself how to actually translate or speak that certain language, which is cool to see. And then of course you do have a running tab. So if you want to go and leave this on here, that stays there, but you can also swipe across to delete it if you want to. Like I said, you can copy it, or you can even full screen it if you want to have kind of like this card look right here, which is something that, you know, I don't tend to do too often, but then it does allow you to have it dictated to you. And now if we continue on the bottom, you do see the little camera option here, so it should be able to translate from English to Spanish or vice versa. So let's change it to Spanish. So if I put some verbiage behind the camera, which I have right here, esta noche voy a comer carne, it'll translate it and then overlay it at the same time, which is something that I didn't even know was possible. So tonight I'm going to eat meat, and that is a true translation. I know it's very random, but it is there. So you can see just how beneficial this could be if you are somewhere foreign and you are needing to translate maybe signs or posters or menus at the restaurants and things like that. This could be very beneficial for a lot of people. And again, the amount of tools that show up here, for instance, you can go into your camera roll to pull something out of your camera roll. You can take a snapshot of the picture if you want to, and then see what happens there. And then you can even turn on the flashlight from here if you are in a darkly lit environment, like maybe a nice restaurant that is very dimly lit. So everything is there for you, which is awesome to see. And then lastly, you do have the conversational aspect of all this. So let's say if I do want to do a translation, it'll go from English to Spanish in real time. Maybe let's go to French because I might be going to France in the next month or so. So if I go to French, where's the best place to get a croissant, but also get a soda? And then you can see that it does translate in real time. And I can even press a play button if I need it to be read out loud to somebody who speaks only French. So again, very easy to use, very self-explanatory, and you can favorite these and continue to use them moving forward, and it'll get added to your favorite tabs. So there's a lot of functionality in these applications. You just aren't fully aware of them if you're not using them every day or on a weekly basis. And these are all tools that are just built into your phone by default that are very easy to use and can be used at any moment. So I am a big fan of the Translate app, the Journal app, as well as the Measure app. And leave a comment down below of your favorite native iOS application that maybe I didn't mention, and then we'll see exactly where it ranks in a future video. So that will just about do it for this video, everybody. As you saw, there's an abundance of different applications that come pre-built in your iPhone, with more and more seemingly coming on a yearly basis with new iOS iterations. But again, some of my favorite ones were highlighted in this video, and hopefully you guys learn the ins and outs of it and are able to add it to your day-to-day or your weekly life. Again, my favorite one has to be the measuring tool because it's so useful in so many different ways, from being able to frame things up correctly, finding certain distances to be able to measure stuff for furniture in the future. So overall, those are the 3 applications I wanted to highlight, and leave a comment down below. I'm thinking about probably making a ranking of the most useful to least useful iOS apps that I personally use, and maybe we can have a discussion in the comments about it, listing out every single one and ranking them. So if this video gets 1,000 likes, we'll get that done. But that'll do it, everybody. If you did make it to the end, leave a little dolphin in the comments down below. Be sure to check out the channel membership to get those awesome wallpapers that have been in this video. And if you guys want to watch more videos like this one, definitely check out one of these videos right here. And until next time, I'm Fernando, and I'm out, everybody. Peace.